Hello YouTube! Today I come to you with this amazing and entertaining and binge-worthy book called The Philosopher Prince by Paul Waters. It's 372 pages plus an author's note. So it's not that big, it's like trade paperback. I have this edition. It has written on it, if you like Mary Renault, you love Paul Waters. And this is what made me read it, because I did buy Greek and Roman historical fiction that I didn't read. They were not queer enough for me. It's about Drusus and Marcellus. It's actually a sequel. You can understand the book without reading the first book. So it's about Drusus, who is the narrator, and Marcellus, his friend. And let me just say, they are like soulmates. Um, they can never be without each other, and when they are, or where they get separated or captured because it's times of war, um, they make sure that they find each other. It's not explicit, but the intimacy between them is what drew me to this book. It's also set in an era almost at the end of the Roman Empire when East and West have already separated. It's during the time where Constantius, the son of Constantine, is ruling in the East. Julian, who is related to Constantinus, um, is picking up a lot of support in the West. He is a philosopher prince. He studied in Athens, and he was called to squish a rebellion, I think in Gaul, or maybe it was somewhere else and then in Gaul, or Gaul, however you say it. But he succeeded. They wanted him to fail and they wanted to kill him, but he succeeded. And he started doing these successes because he needed to, not because he wanted to. Drusus and Marcellus had, for a while, they were going to their old enemy, the notary Paulus, and they find allies. Euterius, who is this politician, and Wunsch. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Um, so we see also Euterius is also a great character. It depicts the good and the bad side of being basically castrated. It shows that um, those kind of people could have achieved great power in ancient Rome. Um, so they also become friends with Julian, and they become his supporters. More about the story. It's also about this political tension between East and West. And as Julian is picking up supporters because of all his great successes, he has to take control because there's all this corruption, and the people find him like a breath of fresh air, and he has to take control, or well, they will basically rebel. And this is why it's called the Philosopher Prince. It's basically the Platonic idea of philosophers becoming rulers, not because they want to, they would much rather study um, and think, um, but because if they don't do it, then corrupt people will. And having studied philosophy, I can see a lot of that in this. Maybe it's a bit idealistic. Um, there's a lot of terrible stuff also that happens in the book, but it's not so bad. And I want to see more of Drusus and Marcellus. I mean, there is nothing explicit about their relationship, but they always come back to each other. And even the fact of just sleeping in the same room and being alone, you can see the intimacy. You can see they are always there for each other, and they consider each other as family. It's such an intimate view of like having that one person that you are always going to be with here and in reality, and it's such it depicts that so well, the book. The thing that I liked about this book, although there were not that many women characters, so there were three: Marcello's mother, Constantius' second wife, and also the friend, or the one that Marcellus was with for part of the book. Marcello's mother is like this matriarch who we start the book with her grandfather's death, so Marcello's grandfather, which was a great influence on both Marcellus and Drusus and also his daughter, Marcello's mother. And we see the strength that she has. Also, she's this strong woman that clearly had everything under control, even though Marcellus was not at home. Um, so yeah, she wasn't that likable, but she was a great character. Constantius had three wives, and the second wife was Eusebia. And she was actually Julian's friend, and she stuck up for him when all the court was conspiring against him and saying this to Constantius. She was a very cultured woman. She used to send books to Julian and she used to correspond with him. And they were basically intellectual equals, which I find very refreshing to see this portrayal of in ancient Rome of women and male friendships. I forgot her name, but the woman that Marcellus was with, she was also strong. She was kind of annoying in the I want this and I will have it way. Um, but through these three women, we see three different aspects of what it was to be a woman. It made a point that history is depicted by the victor, unless there's that chunk of history that was dictated by the Christian Roman Catholic Church, because they copied books, and in fact, Julian is called at one point um, the Apostolate, and that is how he is known in history, Julian the Apostolate, while Constantius' father, for having made um, Roman Catholicism as the religion of the Roman Empire and having banned all others at the cost of many lives, um, he was called Constantine the Great, even though he did some things that were not so great. Um, and it brings out this point. So it's a book about two men, but it's also setting them in context of what was going on and exploring that context through history that is not so known to us because of the texts that we read. Another great thing is Julian's character. I seriously loved Julian. I tend to not click so much with male characters, but Julian, oh my god, can I say he's like a babe? A bae or something? I've never said that about a character, but um, he's someone that has temperance. He schemes when he needs to because of the context that they're in, and he could be one step ahead. Has very few friends, but he relies on them and he trusts them, and he takes advice when needed, and he does things for the good of the people he swore to protect, and he tries to maintain promises. He is also someone that um, doesn't like sex so much. Um, I found this refreshing to find this in a male character. Um, and he's also this like person that is very idealistic but also realistic. Found him to have a great character, like not be a great character. He is a great character, like personality wise. I just I was impressed by him, to be honest. I preferred this to Mary Renault. This one did bring the history, but it wasn't so detailed that you had whole depictions of war in it. It was more flowing. Sometimes Romans are depicted as these bloodthirsty people, and also the tribes that they were up against. The fact is, reality lies somewhere in between. There were bloodthirsty people from both sides, but there were people that maybe did kill. It was times of much strife and war, but they did have conscience about it. There's mentions of rape at one point and the consequences of rape. There's death, so these are trigger warnings. But none of them are so explicit. And having read The Sword of the Gladiatrix, again another queer, this time lesbian, Roman era historical fiction, there was much more in that. So this is mild, and this is also idealistic, and it's the way Paul Water writes, just exquisite. I will leave you with that. Bye! I love books that have this. Family map and map. Well, actually, the map is here, sorry. I always refer to them, especially when there is stuff that I don't know or people I don't know. I love glossaries and author's notes, etc., and historical fiction, because then it's like you're reading a non-fiction for a while, and it's a great mix, I think. And he died. Maybe that's a bit of a spoiler, but history is also history. I keep getting confused on how to say his name.